Hello everyone, I've got a little treat for you today, I guess. I've got a very interesting bag here for you, and I'm going to give you a closer look of it. So let me unzip it for you and let's see what we have. Okay. You see this monster of a lens? It's huge. Only just fits in the frame, as you can see. This is a Tokina 800mm lens. Fixed focal length of 800mm. It's huge and it's vast. And literally you can see the front element if I take the lens cap off, which is huge. It's vast, as you can see. It does actually have a lens cap that comes off. And there you go. Incidentally, the lens cap is all metal, and it's a huge lens. I'm not sure on the size, to be honest, but it's massive. So that's the lens. I'm going to set it up on a tripod and you can have a look at it in a more closer view of it. It's basically an old Tokina lens, 800mm, and it goes from f32 to f8, and it's huge. So let's take a closer look at this lens, and I'll show you an example of a photo of I've achieved with it, and you can see what it can do. Okay. Hello everyone, so you can see this behemoth of a lens, which is an 800mm fixed focal length lens. Goes from f32 to f8. To focus it, it's quite strange because it moves the camera backwards and forwards when you're focusing. I don't know if you can see that, but the actual camera is actually moving as you focus it. Unfortunately, this lens has a very small amount of focusing. Basically, it's 18 meters is the closest it will focus to, which is absolutely a huge distance. Basically, like, I don't know, a small corridor basically in a school or something. It's absolutely a huge amount of distance. That's approximately something in the region of 55 feet for you guys in America. And obviously it's f8. In terms of CA, in terms of colour fringing that you see, which is a magenta pink tint, you do see some colour there, so in post-processing you will have to do some corrections. It's literally a massive lens. Apparently you can actually divide the sections up, so you can actually split it up into two separate lenses, but I tend to keep it in this massive oyster bag, which is huge, because the lens itself is massive. In terms of magnification on a 1.6 crop sensor camera, you're going to get something in the region of 1280mm, and that doesn't include any teleconverters. So if you was to obviously put a 2 times teleconvert on that, making an f16 lens, your magnification is going to be over 2000. So this is basically a massive telescope, but then again the lens is massive itself. So I'm going to put an example of a few pictures I've taken with this lens on the video itself. In terms of quality of the lens, I wouldn't say it's fantastic quality, but then again it is a lens of nearly 1300mm with a 1.6 crop factor on that. On a full frame you probably get better quality, but it's 800mm and it's a massive behemoth of a lens. The weight of this lens is basically 2.5 kilograms, so it's not a light lens. The majority of the weight is at the front, as you can see there. I'm trying to balance it, but you can see the weight is all here. But you can separate it, and there is quite a good lens collar on here that rotates. What you do get though with the actual lens, apart from the lens hood, which I'll show you here, which is basically a collar of metal. You're not going to do anything to that because that's solid. But you can also attach filters because it's basically got coils all the way down it, so you can attach filters to it, no problems. That's if you can find one that fits. I believe the guy that sold it to me told me it was around 86mm, something like that. What's interesting with the lens though is you get some metal, I don't know what you call them really, metal coils, which basically screw into the top part of the focusing mechanism, like so, which allow you to focus quite quickly. It's an interesting lens, certainly is unusual. As an alternative to a Canon lens costing you many thousands of pounds, it's viable, I suppose. I'll put an example up, then you can have a look and make your mind up. The lens does separate, but I haven't figured out how to do that part yet. I believe it does separate into 2 parts though, about that there, and you could put them into a backpack or something. But it's a huge lens. Sorry about the video, it's not easy to take when you haven't got a wide angle lens to show, but it is a behemoth of a lens, and it even has something on the top like an aiming crosshair, you could say. Don't know if you can tell that from the video, where you could actually use that as an aiming point to aim at your subject. So that's the Tokina 800mm f8 lens. Hello, doing a follow-up of my little show and tell of the Tokina 800mm lens. I've got 3 samples to show you. There is chromatic aberrations in there because it's an old lens, so you may have to do some corrections if you do obtain this lens. Here you can see some sort of sun clock that someone's got inside of their house. Now, it's not too bad. Remember, I'm shooting through a window, so obviously the clarity might not be the best, as there was a bit of flare coming through the window. So, saying that, the quality does seem quite grainy, but obviously this was quite a dark day, so I did have to up the ISO. But in this picture you can see it's not tack sharp, but it is a lens from the 1970s. Here we have another example that I'm shooting through the window. Again, there's a bit of flare coming through the lens, which is mainly due to the window. Basically a lot of sun coming through at this time of the day when the sun's going down. You can see there's chromatic aberrations there because it does seem a bit pink from at my eye anyway. But the quality's not too bad. Now you've got to remember I'm using a 600D camera, 1.6 times crop factor, so this 800mm lens is actually 1280mm, and that is a huge telephoto lens. Certainly a good lens to use for moon photography, but again it won't come close to an L lens unfortunately. But you can see the houses here quite clearly, and not too bad. In this example I'm trying to take a picture of the roof of the garage. Garage is probably approximately 20 meters from me, so I'm able to focus on it quite easily. It's not getting tack sharpness on there, even at f8, so it's not a superb tack lens, but again it is a 1970s lens and it's not the best lens out there unfortunately, but it's not too bad. And in my other example here, you can obviously, I've focused on the actual door of my neighbour, which is about 30 meters from me. It's not too bad. You can clearly see the door and obviously all its features, and the nice gold handle. Doesn't seem to be any problems with focusing. The light obviously is starting to fade at this time of the day, so obviously all these shots may be a bit grainier than they should be or needed to be. They tend to be shot on 100th of a second on a tripod shooting through my bedroom window. So I hope these samples show you what the lens can do. I hope to get some more real world pictures when I go out shooting, when I've got all my lenses together in the local park. But I hope this review has been helpful. You see, when I was looking at this lens on eBay myself, there was very little information out there, so maybe I've helped you out a little bit. If I was to give it a mark out of 10, I'd probably give it a 3 or a 4. It obviously won't come close to something like the Sigma's 150 to 600s, even with teleconverters on, or the 100 to 400 Canon Mark 1 or 2, or even the 400 5/6 that the Canon does, as well as the 300 f4. My personal preference for shooting wildlife is the 300 f4 with a 1.4 teleconverter. You can also use a 2 times teleconverter as well, and the choice is yours. But it is a reasonable lens for £100. So thank you for watching. Bye bye.